A number of people named Bubba, but most of them weren't born with that name. How did Jerry Watson Jr. end up with his nickname Bubba? He'll tell us in just a minute.
You're listening to GPS, God, People, Stories, a podcast production of the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association.
I heard about a clergyman who said to a boy who was using profanity, he said, "Son, do you know what becomes of little boys that use those kind of words?" And he said, "Yes, sir." He said, "They grow up and become golfers."
Billy Graham.
But you know, golf to me has always been a parable of the Christian life. Golf is a game of recovery. The winner is not the one who makes no mistakes, but the man who has the courage and the skill to overcome his errors. Some shy away from Christianity because they know they cannot live perfect lives. But according to the Bible, the Christian life is not for perfect people. It's for people who are imperfect, like you and me. Jesus said, "I came not to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance." A Christian is not one who is sinless, but one who has had sin forgiven. In Christianity, as in golf, the ideas of recovery. We may do wrong, we may fail. And many times we hit a bad shot. But the champion is the man that knows the secret of recovery after a bad shot and applies it to golf as well as life.
And now back to the hosts of GPS, Phil Fleischman and Jim Kirkland.
More than 50,000 people have turned out for the first 13 stops of the Decision America Tour with Franklin Graham. Franklin's holding a prayer rally in each state capital, and he's challenging Christians to boldly live out their faith at home, in public, and at the ballot box. All the details about the Decision America Tour and the vision behind it are at decisionamericatour.com.
Our guest on this episode of GPS has been Bubba Watson. Bubba is his nickname. His real name, Jerry Watson Jr. So where did Bubba come from? His dad.
So when I was born, I was real chubby in the face. So my dad said I looked like a football player. So called me Bubba.
Jim, do you have any nicknames?
Well, none that I can divulge with a microphone on. I don't nothing really exciting or unusual, just that the fact that anybody who knew me before, let's say, the age of 18 or 19 would call me Jimmy. And I would just as quickly answer to Jimmy as I do Jim, because I was Jimmy until I got to college and decided that that was just not sophisticated enough. So I took the M and the Y off the back of it and became Jim. But I will answer to either name just as quickly as the other.
Yeah, and Jimmy's not too far from Jim, right?
No.
It's the same with me. About the only nickname I have is Phil, short for Philip. So that's all I've got is Phil.
Well, nothing very exciting on either one of our cases, but a very exciting story about how God has worked in the life of one Bubba Watson Jr., and we thank him for being our guest on this episode of GPS, God, People, Stories. We also want to thank the Afters for letting us use some of their music today. And we thank you for listening. GPS is on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, and BillyGrahamRadio.org. You can find us on Facebook by searching for Billy Graham Radio. I'm Jim Kirkland.
And I'm Phil Fleischman. GPS is an outreach of the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association. Always good news.